What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Can You Feel So Now podcast. I'm your host, Carlos Romero. And man, January was such a wild ride for the LDS YouTube space. It started off, pretty rocky, but then later, it just ended on a high note. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video, because I think it's important that we as Latter-day Saints, especially those who are making content, to just stay in the know, talk about these things. I know we want to talk about the scriptures and come follow me and everything else, but this is also pretty interesting. It's part of the conversation and we just gotta talk about it. Let's get into it. First off, American Primeval. Netflix started off the year just dropping this really gory, really expensive production, really fictitious production about the Mountain Meadows Massacre, which perhaps was one of the most darkest moments in all of LDS history. There is no excuse as to what happened, and unfortunately, those people that were involved in that incident had to live with the memory for the rest of their lives. The good people at Scripture Central, they actually did a really good job at going over the history and even some of the trauma that some of the people that were involved in this had throughout their lives and even at the end of their lives. But regardless of how fictitious it is and however they made it out, because we were the villains, Latter-day Saints were the villains, Brigham Young was this like thug, the mobster guy. It really, if you never heard of the church and that's the first thing that you come across, there's a big possibility that that's exactly where you're going to think of the church. Nothing new under the sun. And the antis love it.
And I think that his depiction felt to me like a really accurate and great depiction, in my opinion.
So one of the biggest things that I did not like whatsoever is that when you're looking at any production that is expensive, that is made like this, you're gonna look at what is the message behind it. And the message behind it, as told by two of the protagonists with their own subplot about this Latter-day Saint couple that wanted to go to the Salt Lake Valley and start life or whatever, but they got caught in this horrible scene of violence and death. And of course they the whole idea was that and this is what I got from this plot, this little storyline that they had in this story, in this series, is that if you affiliate yourself with the church in some way or another, eventually it's going to lead you to death. It's going to lead you to either emotionally, spiritually dead, or straight up suicide even. And you really get that from the tone, from the things that are said in the show. Yeah, but that's just what I got. And of course, that is completely not true. If anybody just thinks about what the show is portraying versus what really happened, just give it just 2 seconds. 2 seconds, that's all. Think about it. Just think about it.
Just think about it.
First of all, to the Latter-day Saints, especially Brigham Young, because Brigham Young was a believer. You may say whatever you want to say about the guy. I've made my peace with his mistakes because he was not a perfect guy, but he believed. He dedicated his whole life to the cause. And because he believed so strongly, the Native Americans to him were a royal people. The Latter-day Saints did not look at the Native Americans in the same way that the American government viewed them as, basically as savages, as people that needed civilization, as people that were second-class citizens, as people that were just, ready to just be mowed down because of manifest destiny. But the Latter-day Saints really weren't looking for that. They were just looking for a place to live their religion, to live out their lives, because their very own government did not want them. Let us not forget that there was an extermination order given out against the Latter-day Saints, and so they needed to leave the United States government, the very government that wanted to wipe them out. And by the time that they got to the Salt Lake Valley, let's face it, it was a wasteland. There was nothing there. It was not a land flowing with milk and honey. Through their faith and because of their commitment, they worked their butts off to make nothing to make something out of nothing. And they worked hard to establish good relationships with the Native Americans and so forth. And it is not at all what the show portrays. But, that is why we have to take charge of our own story and tell it through our own lens, so that people can at least have some kind of counterweight and know that if it wasn't because of the sacrifices that were made by these early pioneers, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would not have survived during that time. It's that simple. They would not have survived. And the fact that we are here today is a huge testament to the faith that these people showed in what they believed was the cause of Zion. Moving on, Chief Midegah from what is the name of Ojibwe Nation? And I'm sorry, I just gotta be very straightforward. I never believed this guy was Native American for obvious reasons, but you gotta give him the benefit of the doubt. I did try to look up the name of this Ojibwe Nation online to see if it was even recognized by the U.S. government, and I did not find it. There's actually a list of Native American tribes that are actually recognized by the U.S. government, and the Ojibwe Nation was not one of them. Every time I try to look for this Ojibwe Nation, all I saw is this guy's face. He has his own website or whatever, but he came to popularity last year because of his claim that they are new scriptures in these birch, scrolls that he called them. And the thing is that people believed it. If you look at Chief Midegah's videos, a lot of people, if you talk about him seriously, some people have they rack out 20,000 views, 13,000 views. This guy, people are actually wanting to believe in what he has to say. But as Latter-day Saints, we have to be a little bit smarter than that. We have to understand keys. We have to understand that is not how revelation works. And if we are going to receive a new scripture, do you think it's going to come from some random Yahoo on the internet? Or is it going to come from the person that holds the priesthood keys on earth, which is President Nelson, or somebody around like it, or something like that? And so, because he also wanted to build a temple or something like that. It's kind of weird. But regardless, what's so special about Chief Midegah? Well, he joined the Bickertonites. He got baptized into the Church of Christ, a shoot-off of the Restoration, with about 20,000 members strong worldwide. And the only reason why I want to bring this out is because the Church of Christ, or the Bickertonite group that is mainly stationed in Pennsylvania, or they're headquartered in Pennsylvania, they are waiting for a specific prophecy in the Book of Mormon as told by them that can only be fulfilled through a Native American. And because this guy is claiming to be a Native American, even though I don't believe he is, but regardless, let's just say that he is, right? This guy could be a major problem moving forward for this small religious group. And I do think that it's a possibility. In fact, I really do think it's a big possibility that this Chief Midegah person could be the cause for a huge divide within this group. It could be a cause for a huge schism moving forward. And so I just hope and pray that the people, the good Book of Mormon believing Bickertonites, just keep your guard up. I don't trust this guy whatsoever. He has a nasty temper. He was suing people for exercising the freedom of speech. I don't know. Just be careful. Anyways, good luck to him. Good luck to whoever wants to follow this guy. No doctrine. No, understand the actual doctrines of the church so you won't be fooled. Last but not least, Alex O'Connor. Bro, this guy, he really just hit hard. This guy, he made waves. This guy, Alex O'Connor, made waves in the Christian YouTube space. My goodness, this guy did something great. The first time that that I was introduced to this guy was really from this Jubilee episode of One Atheist versus 25 Christians. And man, he did such an amazing job, because creedal Christianity just does not have what it takes to answer some of these big questions in the Bible, specifically those within Protestant circles, because of their belief in sola scriptura, that the Bible's perfect. And if you're pushed against the wall about like genocide in the Bible and slavery and everything else, it gets kind of hard to explain away. And that's exactly what this Alex O'Connor did to many of these Christians, for the exception of two that were not Credo Christians, but rather Latter-day Saints, and that is our very own Jacob Hansen and Hayden Carroll from the podcast known as Thoughtful Faith. And man, they did a great job. So much so that Alex O'Connor thought that it was worthwhile entertaining Jacob Hansen at the end of the show. And after the show, they actually talked for hours on end, and Jacob did a good job of introducing to him the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, because Alex O'Connor is not used to it. We're so shunned away by everybody else that he never had the chance to learn really about the restored gospel. And so much so that he actually, I'm pretty sure he did his own homework and due diligence. Later on, he showed up in one of these like popular Christian podcasts, and this is what happened.
Here's an interesting one from Deadpool. He said, Alex, if you had to join one Christian denomination, which do you believe has the most consistency according to the history of the church and scripture? This is where Alex would have to pick a jersey.
Mormonism, of course.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
We don't consider them Christians. Give me another one.
No, well, that's the interesting thing is that they're sort of often not. I don't even know if they really like to consider themselves Christians as such. I think there's some really interesting. I've been learning a lot about Mormonism. Mormonism's a fascinating religion in many ways. A lot of people aren't aware of its history and also of a lot of its doctrines and theological ideas and its different idea about like what God is and all of this kind of stuff. And the history of persecution of Mormons in the United States is pretty amazing too. Like there's so much really interesting stuff. The extermination order of Missouri, where like people were told to just kill them. It's an unbelievable history. And of course, Joseph Smith dies in a shootout in prison. Like it's one of the most dramatic stories of world religion in the world. Of course, it remains the case that we have, because it's so new, we have better eyewitness testimony to Moroni and the plates than we do, unfortunately, to the resurrection of Jesus, it seems. But that was also a point that raised some eyebrows in my original video, which I found quite entertaining.
The whole thing was amazing to see an atheist actually who has no dog in to pick in the whole fight, look at it for what it is and say, no, Latter-day Saints, they're the closest. It's pretty validating. I'm sorry, it's just how I feel right now. And I do believe that eventually, I'm reading right now a Rough Stone Rolling by Richard Bushman, and there's a short passage in that book that he talks about how there is a small amount of evangelical Christians out there that are waking up to the fact that there is a lot of scholarship done within the LDS space, and they are trying to sound the alarm to their peers to wake up and smell the roses. Paraphrasing, by the way. But I think that eventually, even though people might not believe in what we believe in, and we will always be a religious minority, people are starting to take us more seriously. And I hope so, because I really hope that people take the Book of Mormon more seriously. You want to talk about evidence for the resurrection of Jesus Christ? There is no greater evidence than the Book of Mormon. All these other Christians, although they have great points, I'm sure, they are all reliant on data and witnesses that happened 2,000 years ago. And that is a very long time. And if you rely so much on eyewitness accounts of the resurrection of Christ, you will love to rely on the accounts of the Book of Mormon, with the three witnesses and the 8 witnesses and the other people and Joseph Smith himself and other people who felt the plates and saw the angels and felt and hefted the plates and heard the voice of the Lord and all of these miracles. These are great witnesses, because if these witnesses are true, then Jesus is the Christ, and we definitely have more evidence for the resurrection than anybody else on the face of the planet. Food for thought. Well, that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to touch bases on the things that are happening within the YouTube space. please, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you thought about this episode, what you thought about my opinions on, Chief Midegah and whatever else you want to throw at me. And, just comment. Let's have a conversation. This is also about creating community. And so, if you're making content online, it's great to talk about, come follow me and stuff like that. But I think it's also very important to stay in the know. I've started to realize that myself. And I hope to make more videos like this. I'm not gonna solely focus on this. I really wanna make uplifting content, but I wanna make this part of this channel is to talk about these things, to, the gossip and the drama and the whatever. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys are well out there. God bless. Take care. Bye.